We got Miranda, so everything's going to be good. And Miranda, you
Good.
can
Keep her talking the most.
Oh, yeah.
No, don't put it all on me.
All right. We're going to have fun. This is the third one we've done.
I know. I've watched your other two. That's why I'm so nervous.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Teacher Tales on Tuesday. Before we introduce ourselves tonight, I want to name this place and acknowledge our position of privilege on the traditional lands of the Beothuk and the present-day lands of the Mi'kmaq, the Innu, and the Inuit. A land acknowledgement recognizes the longer history reaching beyond colonization and the history of European colonies, and it upholds the significance of all Indigenous peoples who live and continue to live in this place. In the days and weeks and months and years ahead, we have many opportunities to move forward in reflection, action, and reconciliation with Indigenous communities as we seek ways to heal with hearts and minds together. So welcome to Tuesday Tales on Tuesday. My name is Jan Bewley, and I am so thrilled to offer classes in literacy and drama education at Memorial University's Faculty of Education. I'm delighted to have you joining me tonight as we reflect on the legacy of 100 years of teacher education in Newfoundland and Labrador, where we have been, where we are presently, and where we hope to grow. Tonight, I have some very special questions for the three connected guests who are here tonight. We have Grandma Audrey Jenkins. So excited to have Audrey here. Can you wave at everybody, Audrey? There's Audrey. You're going to meet Audrey. We have her daughter, Michelle Shepherd. Wave to everybody, Michelle. And that's Michelle with one L. And
yes,
here in St. John's, but usually over on the West Coast, is a much loved student, Miranda Shepherd. So Miranda, you can wave at everybody. Yeah. And we're going to leap in here. I've got some questions for everybody. This is so exciting to have an intergenerational evening here. And we've got some stories to share. So I'm going to start with Miranda. And Miranda, I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what drew you to the teaching profession.
Oh, it's something I've always wanted to do. The earliest I can remember saying I wanted to be a teacher is grade 7. I've always been really good with kids, and my mom was a teacher for my childhood, so that really was a big influence for me. And she did her education degree at Memorial University here in St. John's as well.
And did you ever have mom for a teacher, Miranda?
I did, yeah. She was in my class on occasion, and it was always very entertaining for me.
Did you ever call her mom by mistake?
Always. I don't think I've ever called her Mrs. Shepherd. It's always been Mom.
I love it. And Michelle, I'm going to turn over to you. What drew you to teaching well, you don't even have to tell when you graduated, Michelle. We'll keep that a secret.
Oh, I don't mind. Well, when I've always liked school. I've always loved school, and I always loved French while I was doing school. So when I went to Memorial, it was assumed I was going to university. So when I went, I did a double major in French and English. And
Wow.
when I finished my arts degree, I decided to do my education degree. But because I had my arts degree already in a double major, I was into the high school stream. So my degree technically is a high school degree.
Okay. And Michelle, what year did you graduate from Memorial University's education program?
1990.
Right
I was
on.
30 years when Miranda started, was 30 years from when I graduated.
Wow. Wow. And Audrey, over to you now. What brought you into the teaching profession? What did you like about it?
Huh. I got to think about that. To tell you the truth, I don't know. Really.
Was it the salary?
Not necessarily. We didn't get that much.
She graduated. She went to our first, well, you graduated when you were 17 because you finished your high school.
Yeah.
So when you were 17, she went out teaching that September.
Wow.
From doing nothing, graduating school to going into a school to teach.
Wow. Wow. And
Where was
because
the first school?
Middle Arm, I think.
Middle Arm Elementary.
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
this is the younger ones. There's only a few higher ones there. And there was two of us, actually.
Wow.
There was a man and me. And he had the boys, the higher ones. There's only a few people. There wasn't that many in the school anyway. But I took care of the younger ones.
And that was in 1953.
And just so
And
the
I had
audience
to do everything.
just so the audience knows, I think it's really neat to disclose, this is the best kept secret on the screen, that Grandma Jenkins is a youngster at 87 here tonight joining us, which is just so exciting, Audrey, to have you here. I can't tell you how thrilled all of our listeners are. I don't know how many people we have out listening, but I'm sure that there are teachers who are in awe and some listeners who are absolutely amazed that you're joining us tonight and sharing some teacher stories. So thanks for being here. I have a question. I have a question for you, Audrey, just to follow up on what you said there. When you talked about only looking after the little ones, did you have all the kindergarten grade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kids together, or would you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, they were all together, all in the same room.
And it was a 1-room schoolhouse.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that space? What did it look like?
Oh, they had a blackboard. That's about the size of it. There wasn't much else.
And
Well,
they
did have their own desk.
I mean, they had their desks. And
there was a wood stove.
Oh yeah.
In the room.
Who had to light the wood stove?
Oh, I don't know. One of the bigger boys, I guess.
Oh, and that's how the school was heated.
Yeah.
Was there a place for the kids to hang up their coats at the back before they came in?
Oh yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And did they bring their own lunches?
Yes.
They stayed all day.
They could go home for lunch.
Oh, and did you ring a bell to bring them in?
Yeah. Oh yes, I had the bell.
What time did you have to be there in the morning?
Oh, I don't know, around 9 o'clock, 8:30. I dare say I was there trying to get things straightened up.
And
so,
can you talk a little bit, Audrey, about how you organized lessons for all those kids?
Well, I never had anything to work with in my fingers and pencils. It all I made out. I made every test. I had to write it out myself and give it to the youngsters.
Wow. And were many of them able to read and write?
Oh yeah, to the main, they were good at it. The main lot could. There's only some of them that I used to have to, really look after.
Uh-huh.
Most of them could catch on. They were smart enough for that.
Uh-huh.
So, and when I used to put stuff on the blackboard, any tests I'd have to put on the blackboard. And they'd have to, because I didn't have anything to work with.
Wow.
Did
Were
you
there
have
any
very many
books? Were there any books
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, I think there was a few. Now, this was a 2-room school. There was the other
higher
other fella
grades?
was over in the other place. But they were all in the same building, but they were separated. So I had the lower ones.
And
And
how about the washroom? Did you have an outhouse?
that's about the size of it.
Be pretty cold running to that in the middle of February.
Didn't you got to remember where we're living in Newfoundland. We're used to stuff like that, so it was no big deal.
Now, Audrey, do you remember getting your first paycheck?
No, I don't.
Do you
Tell the
remember-
truth, I really don't.
Do you remember how much you were paid when you first started?
No, I can't remember for the life of me.
I wonder what it
I
was.
haven't got. Well, not very much. That I know. It wasn't very much, but
And-
I was
and-
happy.
And Audrey, did you walk to the school from where you lived?
Yep. And I had to go uphill, and it was a big hill, and then
Huh.
I had to come down for dinner, and then I had to go up again, and come down again.
And did you do report cards and things for each of the children as well?
Oh yes, yeah, I had to do that too. But first thing I was teaching in 2 places. I taught down Middle Arm,
Yeah.
and then I went to
Cottle's Island.
Carter's Island.
But,
Carter.
but before you went to Cottle's Island, after your first year of Middle Arm, what did you do in the summer? You finally went to what?
Well, I went in St. John's and took a course.
Wow.
To become a teacher.
You took a teaching course in the summer.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Now, when you went to, was it Collins Island, you said? Did you have to go by boat?
Oh, from no, not when I got to the place. No. The worst I had to do was walk up a big hill.
But Middle Arm was by boat.
Yeah, but when I got to Middle Arm, I didn't have to.
No, but to get to Middle Arm, you had to go on a boat.
Yeah, well, so I had to get to Cotton's Island, I had to go by boat
Yeah.
Wow.
from where I lived.
Wow. Did you ever meet any other teachers when you first started, Audrey, or were you kind of by yourself?
I had down to Cotton's Island. There was 2 of us. There was a fella and me. He looked after the higher grades.
Oh,
and I
yeah.
looked after the other ones.
That was in Middle Arm, but in Cottle's Island, did you have a man, or was it you and another woman?
No, it wasn't a woman, it's a man.
Was another man there too?
Yeah.
Wow. So you had no principal, Audrey. You were everything at the school.
Oh yes. And and I had to write out every test by hand.
Yeah.
Whatever I tested the kids, I had to write it out by hand and give it to them.
Wow. Wow. Did you have a school? Did you have an inspector come and check up and see how you were doing? What was that like?
Oh yeah. I slapped him down.
And
that's what I did with him.
And
why?
And what kinds of things was he looking for when he would come to visit?
I don't know, he was stuck in his nose, there was no place for him. And
He
I
was-
didn't put up with it.
No, and so he didn't come back.
Oh, he didn't come back. He wouldn't go and face me anymore.
Now, Audrey, were you in charge of cleaning the school too?
No, not really. No.
Who did that?
Tell you the truth, I don't know, but I suppose community.
Maybe the kids, the older kids.
It wasn't, it was all right. It wasn't dirty or anything like that. It was the hardest thing I had was blackboard.
Yeah. And you had chalk in those days.
Yes. And everything had to go on the blackboard.
And you had to know how to do some beautiful handwriting.
Yeah.
Is your handwriting still pretty nice?
I don't know. I don't write very much.
I can
She
see
got a
Michelle.
picture here.
Oh, what have you got there, Michelle? If you hold it over a little to the other side
All right now. I got to
Right
try and
Towards
figure
you.
out which side I got to go to make it.
and
Back up.
back it up a
Back
little
up.
bit.
There you go,
Oh
right there.
my. Tell me about that picture, Audrey.
Let me see.
You don't
Well,
you don't remember. Was that in Middle Arm your first year, or was that in the Cottles Island? You
no,
think?
that's Cottle's Island, I think. I think that's Cottle's Island. Unless I got Merry Christmas there. So I remember doing that on the blackboard and Cottle's Island.
Look at the
And
way
Michelle,
she done her letters.
And it says that you're supposed to drink 2 glasses of milk and all kinds of rules down the side. That's a great picture.
Yeah, it says drink four glasses of milk every day. Coffee and tea are not good for children.
I don't know, Miranda. I know that you drink coffee and tea. I'm going to ask Michelle some questions now. That's a great picture. Look at the inkwell there.
Look at all the yeah, exactly. And she had a few
Down,
books
Mom.
there anyway.
Just lower it a little bit there, Michelle. Yep, I can see that. That's great. So, Michelle, I
Yeah.
want to ask you some questions. Now, I know you were a substitute teacher for a long time, and
That was mostly what I did.
graduating in 19. Did you say 1990?
Yes.
So, I wonder if you can take us back to your days as a teacher in a classroom. How did they mostly differ from what Audrey experienced?
Well, in 1990, when I graduated, I got a position down to, like Mom, following footsteps. I was on an island. I was out to change islands. So I had to go on a boat.
Wow. And you lived on the Change Islands, Michelle, or you went there daily?
No, I lived out there. I rented a house out there while I was out there. And the school I was in, A.R. Scammell Academy, it was just renamed A.R. Scammell when I got there. It had just been renamed. And it was double classrooms.
Wow.
So it was 2 grades to a room down there. And I was responsible, my first year out teaching, I was responsible for French from kindergarten, because they started in kindergarten, to grade 12. I did 6 and 7 social studies. I did 6 and 7 health. I did 7 and 8 language arts. I did 7 and 8 home economics.
My, that's a full plate.
That was a very full plate for someone just coming out of university with a teaching degree and having to start a career. It was very overwhelming.
Your day would start very early and end quite late.
Yeah, exactly. I had a lot of things to get done.
How many kids would have been in the school, Michelle?
In the school, I don't know. I had roughly, I'd say, 20 odd kids, 20 to 30 kids in each classroom, I'd say.
Wow. And Audrey, how many kids total were in the school that you remember?
I don't know. I can't answer the guess, tell you the truth.
Would there have been 100?
No, 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 no. No, not that many.
Much smaller.
Maybe 60 or 70, 60 or there, say, around there.
Wow.
No, there wasn't a lot of them, but there was bigger kids, some bigger kids. They were all together, the big ones
Yeah.
and the small ones.
Yeah. And did you ever meet the parents of any of the kids, Audrey?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
See them every day.
oh, did you? How come? Did they bring the kids?
Hey?
Did
No, the kids that come on their own. No, no, you just only, we intermingle.
Yep. But you
With,
never,
you know.
did you ever meet the parents of the children you taught?
Well, I dare say I did. Yeah, lots of them, because I'm probably in their homes.
And you boarded with and you boarded with a family that had kids that went to your school.
Yeah, I did.
Wow, they'd have to be on their best behavior.
Yeah.
Miranda, I want to jump over to you now and ask you a couple questions about things that are in your world. What's surprising you most, Miranda, about teaching and what you're learning at Memorial?
It's the schools now are very different even from when I was in elementary school. There's a
How
lot
so?
more technology in the classrooms now,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a learning curve in itself for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because every classroom now, Grandma said they had a blackboard. For me, going through school, it was the blackboards and whiteboards with whiteboard markers. But now it's every classroom pretty much has a smart board.
Mm-hmm.
And I can distinctly remember that my school, I was in grade 6 when my school got the first smart board.
Wow.
So it's a big change for me because the kindergartners now know how to work the computer and the smart board, and it wasn't introduced to me until grade 6.
Yeah. Yeah. And Michelle, your days as a teacher, technology would have been just trickling in, was it?
Yeah, because when I was in Change Islands, I guess they may have had a computer class. I doubt it. I don't remember it. I mean, all I had was the blackboard. I never used anything else. It wasn't until my later years, of course, substituting everywhere, that all the technology started coming in. But I was, and still am, old school, so I could never operate the smart board. I didn't know how to get that thing. And that's like doing attendance. It was supposed to be all done on computer, but I never knew how to get into it to do the attendance. So I would just write it all on a piece of paper and leave it on the desk.
Yeah. Yeah.
For them to input.
Audrey, did you have to take attendance at your school?
Yeah. Yes, I used to have to, when they came, I think I remember writing down that they were there. And
And if the kids were away, did they have to bring a note from their parent to say where they were?
no, you know, they're so small enough that you know.
Yeah. And they did,
Such a
and
one.
most of the kids wanted to be there. They liked school.
Oh yes, oh yeah. I didn't have any problems getting them come to school.
What do you
I had one girl.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go
I had
ahead.
one girl. She was deaf and dumb.
Wow.
And when the inspector came around, we had a school inspector. He used to come around, every now and again. And he said to me, he said, "What have you got her here for?" I said, "You mind your own business. She's staying there."
Wow.
That's all I got at him. I shut him up right quick.
Because you told him, what did you used to give her?
Hey?
What did you used to give her?
I used to, when she come into school every single morning, she never missed a day.
Huh.
And I'd give her a piece of paper and I would give her a pencil and crayon. And she
Huh.
left her to her own devices. And she was as happy as, and you know what? That girl got a real good job in St. John's. When I heard about it, I nearly danced.
Ah, isn't that beautiful when you when you hear about a student who has been successful like that, Audrey? What do you think? What do you
Yeah.
think? Why do you think she loved school with you?
I don't know. I just like the kids. I liked them. I didn't have anybody that was unruly because if I seen that they were being unruly, I'd slap them down right there.
And
And
those were the
that's it.
days. Those were the days of being able to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a child that you remember who was away because of smallpox or measles or anything? Was there any of that kind of outbreak, Audrey, when you were there?
No, I don't. I don't think anybody missed school.
Wow. And you wouldn't be able to miss school. There was nobody to substitute for you.
No, no. But when I was down, I had another school down to Middle Arm,
Right?
and there's another fella there. He was higher grade. I had the lower ones.
But you never could not come in to teach on your days. Like you weren't sick and didn't go to school because you were sick.
Oh no, I never missed a day.
That's great. Michelle, I want to ask you if you were ever given a gift by a student that you remember. Was there ever a student who gave you, it might have been a letter or a picture or anything at all that at Christmas time or anything like that?
Well, like usual, when you're in anywhere, even as a substitute, I mean, especially the littler ones, I mean, they'd always be making you little drawings or writing you little notes. I mean, I kept a lot of those things. I don't know. Well, they're all packed away now where I just moved to Newfoundland last year. So nothing has been discovered since we've moved. But yeah, at Christmas when I was down to Change Islands, I know I had a Christmas ornament given to me by one of the grade 6 girls, and I still put it on Christmas tree.
Aw.
It's a little plate. It's a little plate on a thing. Merry Christmas, and she had her name on the back, and I think you could still pick out her name on the back. But I mean, I still hang it on the Christmas tree to this day.
Oh, that's lovely. Now, Audrey, what was Christmas like in the little one-room school where you were?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Did you put up a tree?
I don't know. I don't think.
Were you
Well, you obviously wrote Merry
Yeah.
Christmas on the chalkboard anyway.
Yeah, I did that.
And Audrey, were you responsible for teaching art and music and all that?
No, not music, not much art. All I had was just a what is it? Reading, writing, and arithmetic.
And
That was about the size of it.
and did the kids ever sing?
No,
Did you say go ahead?
I know I used to most everything I had to write on the blackboard. Everything had to go on the blackboard. They had to read it.
Did the kids say
And,
did the kids say the Lord's Prayer in the morning?
Oh no, I don't know. I can't remember.
It was a long time ago.
We
Yeah.
probably did.
Yeah.
We probably did.
And lunchtime, the kids all went home,
Yeah, they all went home.
and then they'd have to
And I
come
went
back.
with them.
They
Yeah,
came
they had to
back.
come back in.
They came back
Oh
after
yeah,
lunch.
they all came back. Yeah. And down to Cottles Island where I was, we had to walk up a hill.
And when did
There's a big hill too.
when did the school day end?
Oh, I don't know, around 4 o'clock, I suppose.
Right?
Around, yeah.
And then what was your evening like? Did you have to plan all the lessons before you left the school?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I had so much to do. I used to have I wrote a lot of stuff on the blackboard. The blackboard was my thing.
Yeah.
I used to write a lot of stuff on there.
It'd be a lot of work.
And I had one girl came to school and she was deaf and she was dumb.
Right.
But
Yeah.
the school inspector came around and he told me, he said, what do you got her here for? And I said to him, you leave her alone and don't touch her.
Yeah.
She's staying. And she got a job in St. John's now, and a good one. I just about danced when I heard it.
Yeah. And you
Because
helped her,
if I listened
and you helped her feel
Yes, 'cause
like she belonged there. Yeah. Michelle, is there a
Yes.
student, is there a student that stands out for you, Michelle, in all your subbing and your teaching?
Well, going back to Mom's thing, I guess you could say Mom was the beginning of inclusion in the classroom.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
Seeing, right? I mean, back then, I'm sure, right? Like, I mean, I'm sure the parents probably wanted a break. So, I mean, they would send her to school. I mean, and of course, the mom was there and allowed her to stay, even though they didn't want her to have her there. So,
Yeah.
which was a bonus. I mean, nowadays, all the kids now are included in the classroom.
Yeah.
I mean, I know
Yeah.
I was in some schools where there were still the rooms where kids with disabilities or learning issues or whatever were in a separate room and they weren't in the regular classroom with everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, for students wise, yeah, I've had a lot of students over the years. Nobody in particular stands out other than, well, I guess you could say when I was out, I did 1 year in Change Islands and then I left. And then in 93, I had a half-year term in Roberts Arm, which is alongside of my hometown. And I did French and a couple of subjects there, but it was only a half time. And then I lost my job by being bumped. So that's when we moved to BC. So then when I was out to BC subbing, I was in the high school stream because my certificate was a high school. So I was never allowed, I wasn't even considered for elementary or primary jobs because I was only on the list for high school. So I was in all the high schools that are around Kamloops area. And anyone knowing anything about hockey, Kamloops had a good hockey team in the Blazers. And so in one particular school I was in, there were hockey players, of course. So when they were in school, because a lot of times they weren't in school because they were off doing games or whatever. But I did have 2 hockey players that went to the NHL.
Wow.
So Darcy Tucker, Jerome Ginla were 2 students that were in high school when I was in Kamloops subbing. And both of those made it to the NHL teams. I don't remember what teams they were on. They were each on a different one, but that's my claim to fame.
That's lovely. That's a lovely story. Miranda, over to you. Is there a student, and I know you're soon to graduate, and in all your placements and the classrooms you've been in, Miranda, is there a student who stands out to you that still lives in your heart somewhere?
There is. Now, they weren't from any of my placements that I've done through the university. They were from a summer job for me.
Yeah.
At the therapeutic riding barn I worked at in Nova Scotia, Hinchinbrook Farms.
Yeah, talk about that.
It's kids and adults with varying physical and mental disabilities, and there's a lot of work done there with kids on the autism spectrum and having them riding and working with the horses. And there was one little boy that when I started volunteering there for my first summer, he didn't talk. I'm not sure if it's because he couldn't or he just didn't talk very much. By the end of the summer, coming to the activities and riding with the horses, he was a complete chatterbox at 4 years old, I think he was.
Wow.
Running around the barn in his little cowboy boots.
Wow. Wow. And he
So
found
that
yeah.
that stands out for me. All my experiences there at the farm were incredible for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. Audrey, if you had to name 3 qualities for a teacher, what 3 qualities are important for a teacher to have?
Well, the main one is patience.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything else?
Well, I suppose you got to sort of figure out how to deal with them. You know what I mean? Not, not, not be a cop to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just I don't know. To me, it came. I think the kid and me, we, I got to know, and we got together, and there's only one young fella I had to slap down. We had the school painted.
Oh.
They painted the school outside. Now that was thought, and I went back from lunch one day, and he was after making mud pies and put them on the paint.
Oh dear.
Slapped them on the paint. Yes, I slapped him too.
And what color was the paint?
Oh, it was white.
Oh, was the whole school white on the outside?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. How important was a sense of humor for teaching, do you think, Audrey? Do you
Hey?
think you had to have fun to be a teacher too?
Yeah.
I didn't have very much fun.
You didn't.
I just said, no, indeed I didn't. And I was down Middle Arm too. That was another place.
How
I
many
didn't have
how
very
many
much fun.
years how many years altogether were you a teacher?
I can't remember.
You started
You were
what
1
year?
year.
Oh, I went down to Middle Arm in 1953.
Wow.
when you
And this is
when you were 17.
I was 17 years old.
so how many years have you been a teacher? A long time.
And then I went down when I left Middle Arm. I'll never forget the day I left Middle Arm. I never liked that place.
No?
No, but there was 2 teachers in Middle Arm, a man and me.
Yeah. And what didn't you like about it? Were you lonely there?
Nah, it was just, I don't know. I didn't like it. I didn't like it one bit.
What did you do? What did you do for
And
groceries there, Audrey? Was there a grocery store or did you have to bring your things with you?
well, there was a store. There was a store there, and you had like I boarded with people, and so did the man too.
So they
There
they
was,
provided
I
you they provided you with meals and things.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And on your last day in Middle Arm, what happened?
Yeah. See, Middle Arm was off, and the boats used to come in every
Yeah.
so often, And this time, the and there's the man was with even a man teacher and me,
Yeah.
and the boat came in, and I said, "That's it, I'm leaving." Now we had to fix up the I don't know, the books for the government, I suppose, or for somebody.
Yeah.
Anyway, I said to the man there, I said, I'm gone. You can fix the books.
And you left.
I left and I was in such a hurry. I put my keys, locked my keys in my trunk. I was in such a hurry to get out of. And when I got home, Dad had to pry the lock.
So you had to have a sense of humor. Miranda, what do you think the three most important qualities of a teacher are?
I definitely agree with Grandma that patience is the number one thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
But just being caring about the students, and I think if you're a teacher and you really love what you're doing, your students in your classroom become like your own kids.
Ah, that's beautiful. And Michelle, what qualities would you give to the best teachers?
To the best teachers, well, willingness to learn,
Mm-hmm.
because you're definitely learning every day, whether it's from something about the kids or the new technology and everything that's coming in. So you have to have a willingness to learn at all times. And well, and like you say, getting to know the kids on their level, their interests, what they like to do, so that you can interact with them.
Yeah.
I mean, especially some that, I mean, if they're considered problems or whatever, I mean, there's always a reason behind it. I mean, I never had a lot of opportunity to do any of that because where I was subbing for most of the time, I was never with the same kids for any extended period of time. So, I mean, I never really got to know any of the backgrounds of the kids like you would if you were actually their teacher and was able to look into all that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I was in everything. I was in learning centers. I was in French. I was in high school. I had a blind student when I was in Kamloops, so I had to do up work in Braille, which I had never done before in my life. So the machine was there that I had to do out the sheets in Braille for this student that was coming in. I mean, I didn't know anything about Braille.
Wow. And being open to learning.
I was exposed. Well, exactly. I mean, I was thrust into a lot of different situations when you're a substitute. You never know what you're walking into.
Yeah. And you've got such a beautiful smile, Michelle, and I can see the twinkle in your eye even now, you know. Audrey, I'm going to give the last word to the youngster here with us. Audrey, I wonder if you could offer some advice to new teachers who are just starting out. What advice would you give to Miranda?
Well, first thing, you've got to have a lot of patience.
Yep.
A lot of patience. And you got to, I don't know, you got to try and make friends with a whole lot of them.
Yeah.
Now, I had twice I had 2-room school. I didn't, there was another fella in one part and I was in the other.
Yeah.
So that wasn't too bad.
And you got along.
You know, yeah, you got to get the, I don't know, to try and fit in with the kids.
Yeah. I like what you.
I must say, I never had any rowdy kids. I never had no problem with the youngsters, I must say. I had like I said, I had a deaf and a dumb kid there. And the inspector came around and wanted me to get rid of her. And I told him, I said, you keep your hands off her, she's staying. And she did stay. And now she's in St. John's with a beautiful job.
And you did a dance. You were so happy for her.
Yes,
So
I
good.
did.
And I
When
think
I found out.
And you know what, Audrey? I think that's the parting comment for tonight, that you got to be ready to dance with joy as a teacher. So I think that's just a wonderful way to end tonight. I can't thank you enough for all that you've done here tonight. I want to say special thanks to Morris Berry and Craig Adams and Angela Hunt at Memorial University, who help with the razzle dazzle technology on Facebook. Our next Tuesday Tales with Teachers is on Tuesday, January the 25th at 8 p.m. You never know who you're going to meet on a Tuesday night as part of this 100th anniversary celebration. I want to thank you, Audrey and Michelle and Miranda, for being part of a wonderful, memorable evening. And I'm going to be thinking about that kid who put mud pies on the outside of that school, Audrey, for a whole week. Thanks for the smiles, everybody, and we'll see you in January. Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.